there. I recently had a mom ask me if it was okay to spank children when they misbehave. And I'm really thankful for that question. I think that question is not asked enough because very often we feel like it's not an appropriate thing to ask. We feel like it's more of a belief system. Some people believe in spanking and some people don't believe in spanking. And it takes a lot of courage to question that, to question our own beliefs. And I don't want this video to be about my own beliefs. I wanted this video to be, really focused on research. What research says. So I've been collecting all the research I could find on the topic, not all, but because I'm a mom, I don't have so much time in my life. But I personally, this is a topic that is very dear to me, that I know it's very dear to many people on both sides. And so I want to approach this without judgment. This is not to say that if you spank your child, you're an awful person, and that um, everything is lost and there's nothing you can do anymore. It's not at all like that. If you've been following me, you know that I really strongly believe that it's never too late to change, that it's not about being a perfect parent, it's about doing the best we can with the knowledge and the means that we have. And perhaps you didn't have this information before, so I want to give you this information so that you have knowledge based on research, not based on opinions, but based on research, and you can then change your ways. Because as someone famous, which I keep forgetting the name of the person, but someone famous said something like, do the best you can until you know better, and when you know better, do better. So this is what I want this video to be about. It's not about judging, it's not about shaming parents, it's about giving the knowledge, because knowledge is power. And I truly, the reason why I do what I do, the reason why I'm a parent coach, is because I believe that when we change our own parenting, not only do we improve our family and the relationship we have with our children and our children well-being and help them grow healthy and all that, but we can also impact the world, right? It's our way of changing the world, because we are raising the future, the future of mankind. So just this, even if you spank your child, this is not an attack on you, okay? Please take this with, you know, I just want to learn more, okay? It's just an open mind. And as I said, this is research, this is not opinions, okay? So there were so far more than 70 studies that were done over 50 years, or more than 50 years, in different countries all over the world. And all the studies combined involved more than 160,000 children. So that's a lot, right? Over the years, through several different generations, in different countries, and many, many studies, right? So now we know already what are the effects of spanking. It's no longer an opinion. These are studies that have shown this. So one thing I can tell you is that none of the studies show the link between spanking and better behavior or better morals. So very often parents spank their child, and I remember, even to me, I was told this when my son was 1 year old. When they start showing challenging behavior, I was advised by several people that a slap on the wrist doesn't hurt and they will learn. And this is so wrong. It does hurt and they won't learn. And why is there no link between spanking and better behavior or better morals? Because when you spank a child or punish a child, or any form of negative discipline, let's call it like that, because I really am trying to be very careful to make sure that no one feels like I am mom shaming anyone. This is not about that at all. And I want to reiterate that again. So, when you use any form of negative discipline, such as punishment, spanking, etc., nagging, what your child learns is that when they do something that you don't like, that they know that you don't like, and you find out about it, they will get into trouble. So what they learn is how to do things that you don't like in a way that you won't find out about it. As they grow, whenever they are in trouble, the first thing they will think is, my parents can never find out about this. And I think many of us, because we were raised that way, we can relate to that mentality. And what we want instead is that the child understands that this behavior is not acceptable behavior, that the emotions they are feeling are normal, everyone feels them, so they are not a bad kid, but this behavior, the way they responded to those emotions is not correct, and the appropriate response is that one. And we can only get people to listen to us when we are coming from a place of empathy, right? If I would tell you, you're an awful parent, how dare you hit your kid, you would be like, I don't even want to watch this video, right? But if I tell you, I understand where you're coming from, it's a normal thing, it's unfortunately done all over the world, you are not alone, you're not an awful parent, and this is not good because this and this, and this is what you should do instead, you're much more open to hear what I have to say. And we have to remember that children are people. And they are, in fact, people with very underdeveloped brains, right? We are adults with our fully developed brain, and we need this connection in order to be able to learn. So children, they need that so much more, right? And we want to guide and support our children. So as I said, none of the studies show the link between spanking and better behavior or the internalization of morals. So children didn't behave better, and they didn't learn the lesson that you wanted to teach them. What they learned is that they have to hide when they do something that you don't like. They don't even understand very well why you don't like it. They might even understand a little by, oh, I can understand more or less why my mom doesn't like it as they grow, but they don't believe the same that you believe in. They don't understand why the behavior is wrong. They just understand that some people find it wrong. So this is not what we want to teach our children. And actually studies showed that spanking actually causes the opposite effect. Worse behavior, more aggression, more antisocial behavior. And why? Because children learn by modeling, as I keep saying. So when we are modeling to our children, sorry, this is just very, this topic is hard for me, and I really want to make sure I'm doing this in a more, I do this as, I really don't want anyone to feel judged by this video. So I want this to be an educational video where everyone is feeling accepted. So that really I want you to be open to changing. But it is very emotional to me. So what happens when we model to children that, when we spank children, is that we are modeling children that when someone does something that we don't agree with, when we are upset at someone for doing something that annoyed us, that triggered us, or when we want someone that is weaker than us to do the things that we want them to do, we hit them. So children learn this, and they will, of course, they are much more prone to hitting other children. They are much more prone to screaming at other children. They are much more prone to, yeah, as I said, worse behavior. So they will get angry, and they will explode in other ways. So it will actually have the opposite effect of what you had intended for. I'm also going to give you some other things that I found out in other studies. So there were MRI scans that were done on children, and on children that were spanked and on children that were not spanked throughout their life. And the MRI scans showed that spanking actually alters the brain. it changes your brain, which is amazing, right? It really changes your brain. So you have a higher probability to develop anxiety, depression, other mental health problems. Also, another thing, you will have more difficulties with self-regulation. Also, another study that I found very interesting is that um, children who are spanked have more difficulties engaging in school and are linked to a lower academic performance than children who are not spanked on average. and and you can understand why, right? Because if you are uh, if you are living in an environment, and if you are used to this environment, that whenever you do something that another person finds wrong, and again, it's not about whether you think the behavior is wrong, it's about whether the other person finds the behavior wrong. Every time that happens, bad things will happen to you. You are constantly walking on eggshells. You are constantly, this creates people pleasers. This creates people that are so afraid to make mistakes that they are afraid to try new things. They are afraid to ask questions in school. They are afraid to explore what they like. They are so afraid of making a mistake that they don't even try. They always want to please. They want to make sure everyone around them is happy. And many of us might be relating to what I'm saying right now as their own personality. And this comes not just from spanking, but from authoritarian parenting, as I already spoke about this in so many videos. So when you authoritarian parenting creates children that are always too much on alert, worry too much about what other people will think and will say. And did I do that? Was it because of something I said? I don't want to try something unless I'm perfect at it. I don't want to ask anything. What if they think I'm stupid? What if something bad happens to me? And you don't want that. You want to create a growth mindset. You want to show children that it's okay to ask questions in school. It's okay to try new things. Even if you're not good at it, you just keep on trying because it's fun. And that's how we grow, right? This is a growth mindset. Is when we try something, not because we are so keen on the result. And I personally have a hard time with this very often. I'm so keen on the result that I forget to enjoy the process. And if it's something that I'm not immediately good at, I very often am like, I don't like this. And we don't want to raise children like that, right? We want to raise children with a growth mindset that want to try new things. That if they fail, they are like, that's interesting, like Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison tried so many times to make a light bulb. It didn't work, and he was never like, I'm just going to give up. He was like, so that's not the way you make a light bulb. Let me try that way, and that's why we have electricity. So these are the people that will change the world, and this is how we want to raise our children to have a growth mindset. So also, children, other studies show that spanking is associated with lower self-esteem, a more difficult relationship with parents, and especially in early childhood, it's really important that there is a secure attachment, because in the first 6 years of a child's life, that's when they form those, founding stones, which is their core beliefs. And those core beliefs, they come a lot from their experiences with early childhood. So it's really important that in those first 6 years they have this secure attachment to their parents, that they feel like it doesn't matter if mom is going to leave me because I know she will come back. It doesn't matter if I hurt myself because I know that I can go to daddy. It doesn't matter if nothing bad can happen to me. I am protected, I'm loved unconditionally. This is really important in the first 6 years. And spanking has the opposite effect of all the other things that you as a loving parent are constantly doing. So you're basically damaging your own work in building that secure attachment that you want to build in the first 6 years of life. So and again, it was linked with more difficult relationships with parents. So children that are spanked in an early age tend to have not as a close relationship with their parents growing up and when they are grown-ups as children who were not spanked. It's linked to more antisocial behavior, as I explained. Children are more likely to hit other children or to avoid other children. And also the generational curse, which is Children who were spanked are more likely to spank their own children when they grow up. And that's why we grow from generation to generation, that we keep on this spanking. And actually, spanking is so there are many societies and international associations that recommend against spanking. One of them is the American Academy of Pediatrics. The other one is the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and there are many others. And actually, the United Nations has asked countries to prohibit spanking because they find that this is against the rights of children. However, only 49 countries, I think it was 49, I might be wrong, but only 49 countries actually prohibit spanking in their laws. And you might be surprised that, for instance, in the US, spanking is not prohibited. So, again, this is not about shaming anyone, but I wanted to take this into consideration. We as parents, we want the best for our children, right? We want to have a loving connection with our children. We love them so much. That's why we are parents, right? We want the best for them. We want them to succeed academically, but we also want them to be happy. We want them to be able to have healthy relationships with other people. We want them to thrive. And when we spank our children, it's very likely because maybe you don't know about all these things. So now that you know about these things, go and do better. And again, it's not about being a perfect parent. It's about doing the best you can, okay? So this is not about beating ourselves up and being like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's about, okay, I won't do this anymore. I will try my best to stop spanking gradually. I will learn self-regulation skills because parenting is a lot about self-regulation. So before we leave, I just want to give you a positive discipline way of dealing with challenging behavior that often works. So doesn't work all the time because, as everything in parenting, you need to try different things and see what works for each situation, each child, right? Nothing works all the time, even spanking. So you need, of course, but this is one that usually works very often with children ages 3 to 6. So I want to give it to you so you have an alternative, okay? And again, if it doesn't work once, please don't give up on it. Keep trying. And yeah, I'm here if you ever need any more help. So this is what you would do. And by the way, I have a free guide to tantrums that you can download. If you want the link, just message me, where it explains all these so that you don't have to write this down, okay? So it's like, first step is self-regulation. I self-regulate myself. I am feeling all these emotions because we as parents, we are also human beings, right? So when our child is misbehaving, this triggers things in us also. It's annoying, it's frustrating, we are angry. Maybe they did something that we are just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Maybe we are stressed out with our lives because we have so many rules in our lives, right? It's not just parenting. Parenting is already a full-time job and we still have all the other jobs in our lives, right? So it's normal to feel all those emotions when your child misbehaves. This is normal and you're not alone, okay? So when you're angry at your child, it's natural that your instinct is to do something that is negative discipline, because you just want to mindlessly react to your emotions. It's what feels good at the moment. It's what is natural to you, because very often you yourself didn't learn positive self-regulation skills when you were growing up, especially in those first 6 years, probably. So again, we have all those core stones stuck in our brain, and as I explained, people who were spanked are more likely to spank their own children. So this is a natural thing that you're going through, okay? So the first thing you have to do is self-regulate, is to take a deep breath. If you can't, you just remove yourself, go somewhere else and regulate yourself. Take a few deep breaths. You know, if you feel like you cannot at all, just remove yourself and ask someone else to deal with the situation. or remove yourself until you're able to deal with the situation, unless there is imminent danger, of course. And as only when you are self-regulated can you address your child, because when our emotions are very high, we are unable to access the rational part of our brains. That's why very often when our emotions are high, we end up saying things to other people that we later regret, because we are not able to think rationally. So the only way that you can access the rational part of your brain is to self-regulate. So do whatever you need to self-regulate. Each person is different, but usually breathing helps. Closing your eyes. Sometimes you need to close your ears also, to just like close your ears, cover your ears also, so that you can, abstract yourself from all inputs that are around you. Do whatever works for you. When you are self-regulated, then you can access the rational part of your brain, and you can be like, okay, now I will be able to address my child, not from a place of anger and frustration and stress and all that, but from a place of, I'm going to guide my child, I'm going to support my child, and I'm going to teach them what is acceptable behavior for this situation and what is not acceptable behavior for this situation, and why. So the first thing you have to do then, after your self-regulation, so the second thing, is to help your child self-regulate. So the same way that you can only access the rational part of your brain when your emotions are low, the same is with your child. They can only access the rational part of their brain when their emotions are low. So to help them self-regulate, um, and again, this is important, you cannot access the rational part of your child's brain before they are able to self-regulate, so before they bring their emotions down. So it doesn't make sense to be like trying, what are you doing, can't you see this is wrong, and like, what were you even thinking, or all those things will not work. It will only make your child's emotion get even more, and they will probably throw a tantrum or start crying. It will just make things worse. So first you need to help your child self-regulate. And this is also good because you're teaching them self-regulation skills, right? So the way we do this, the way that people are able to self-regulate the best with someone else's help, is through compassion, is through empathy. When you're having a bad day at work and you tell someone about it, what you want is the other person to be like, oh, that's awful. Oh, can't imagine how you're feeling right now. This is what makes you feel better, right? It's not like, well, you didn't have to do that, or like, well, next time just do that. Or, they don't want a solution. They don't want, what you want is empathy. So that's how you connect with your child. You tell your child, and this is also, as I explained, teaching self-regulation and also teaching about emotions. So you tell your child, I can understand, I can see that you are very upset right now. I can see that you are feeling that you really wanted to play with this Lego tower, and the Lego tower fell down on the floor, and you got frustrated that it fell on the floor because you had so much work putting up the Lego tower. And they are learning that this feeling is called frustration, that it's a normal feeling, that mommy understands me, and they immediately start calming down, right? When you see that they are calm, that's when you're able to access the rational part of their brain, and you're able to correct the behavior. And you explain, sometimes it's frustrating. We get frustrated. Mommy also gets frustrated. Everyone gets frustrated. It's a normal thing. I also sometimes, when I'm doing something and it doesn't work, I also get really mad and frustrated. It's a normal thing. And when we are frustrated, we cannot throw our toys, because when we throw our toys, it might hurt someone else. It could have made an owl on mommy. It could have broken the glass. It's really, really bad to throw things, because many bad things can happen to people and to things around us. Instead, what can we do when we are frustrated? And this is the last part. It's brainstorming solutions. So the older the child, so the more your child is approaching the 6 years old, like a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old can already are already better at coming up with their own solutions. The younger the child, the more you have to suggest the solutions. So, for instance, if you see your child is having a hard time coming up with their solutions, or if, as I said, if they are younger, things that you can suggest is next time I'm frustrated, I can, for instance, just ask mom for help. Or I can just be like, ugh, ugh, this is so frustrating, and say it out loud. Sometimes when we say things out loud, we feel better about it. Or we can think like, this is not working. What could work instead? And be like, have, think about how to, instead of thinking like this is not working, we can think like, oh, I wonder what could work instead. So try and get that growth mindset going. And there are many solutions. You can help your child, like you can tell your child, if you're feeling a lot of energy that needs to come out, you can run around 5 times, or you can jump up and down, or you can punch a pillow. Although usually punching is something that might not be very good solution, but for some children might be a solution. But I would leave that one as a backup. And yeah, and this is how you would do it without having to spank your child. And over time, this will get easier and easier. Your child will start learning to act much better when they are frustrated in this situation, for instance. And you will see that the way they will act with other children will be very much similar to this. So next time they see a child that is frustrated, they might help the child like that. And so it creates this snowball, a positive snowball, instead of a negative snowball of violence. Okay, I hope this helped. As I said, any questions, just write me. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.